hearing a lot of talk about rep ranges and volume and which is the best rep range and volume range and frequency. What's the best to do? And it comes to a point to where if are you lifting for size or are you lifting for strength? That's always the first question you should ask yourself. Because if you're lifting for strength, then when you want to look at all these variables such as intensity, when you're lifting for strength, you should uh, have very kind of low intensity. You shouldn't go to failure as far as if intensity means going to failure. If that's the modern day definition of intensity is going to failure, then you shouldn't go to failure if you're going for strength. So this is from the Russian Strength Building Secrets, which should be widely known by now. But yeah, you go in, you do, and you leave about 2 or 3 reps in the tank if for certain exercises. Now, if you want to build size, okay, say I want to go in and do a incline bench press. That's my strength exercise. So I take it easy. I do like 4 sets, not to failure. I get plenty of rest, and I just have perfect form with it, and I stimulate the muscle with the heavy weight that I'm using. So that's how you strength train. That's probably the best way. And then if you want to tear up the muscle, then you can add in all these high intensity techniques and high density techniques. And high density is something that hardly anybody talks about because very few people are capable of doing it, and very few people would know how to do it. But that aside, so you're going for strength and then you're going for size. So let's say you're going for size for right now. Yeah, well, do I want to do reps? Do I want to do reps? Do I want to go all the way out and all the way back down on a bench press? Do I want to do that? No. I want to feel that muscle. If I'm going for size, I want to have that muscle under tension. I want to have that target muscle. If I'm trying to target the chest for bench press, then I want to lighten the load. I want to really work the rep range, the effective rep range. I don't want to go down beyond the point of it even affecting the chest as a primary mover. I don't want to put the joint in a precarious situation. I just want to work that rep range. If it means going all the way down, that I can feel that my chest working, then I'm going to go all the way down. But if you have joint pain or something like that, if your shoulders take over, then you need to find out what works for you as an individual lifter. So you want to have, I might just come down and just go up and down about an inch or two, and then just feel that, and then at the very end, I might do a couple reps after I stimulate, after I put a lot of tension on that chest. So that's size building. So strength building, you don't go to failure. It's not the priority to go to failure when you're doing strength training. Now for size training, you want to go to failure, pretty much. Not always, but you want to mix and match intensity techniques and density techniques. In other words, density is doing combo sets, doing supersets. That's high density, where you're getting zero rest in between sets, or as close to zero as possible. And so with these high density techniques, you're attacking the muscle from all different angles, and that's possibly a way of looking at high intensity, but it's called density. So it's just minimum rest in between sets, but you're also doing different angles. So it's kind of a combination, and it's really effective for getting a pump, for tearing up that muscle, and for muscle growth. It really is awesome. But for strength, you should have a strength exercise. If you have any goals for getting strong at all, you have to include strength exercises as particular ones for each movement. Say the press. Well, I'm going to do an incline bench press, or I'm going to do an overhead press, or I'm going to do a pull up or a low pulley row or something like that. I'm going to have one exercise that's just for strength. And I'm going to keep up with that. I'm going to keep up with the reps, whatever that means for me, as far as developing that strength. I want to keep up with how much weight I'm using and all this. But when it comes to building size, I don't care about the weight. I don't care about the reps. I don't care about how many sets I do, it doesn't matter. It's just I'm working the muscle. I'm working the muscle. It doesn't matter if I mix it up every single time. I do not have to go in there and do the same workout every single week, 2 or 3 times a week, do the same workout. You see, because that would, at some point, give me diminishing returns. You go in there and you mix it up. That's how you build up size. Now, if I were taking steroids, like a lot of these, the pro bodybuilders do, then yeah, they can have a progressive sort of training style that gives them size as well. It's just that progressive overload. But if you don't take steroids, then just forget about the strength. As far as when you're focused on size training, so go in there, do your strength training first, get it out of the way, and then go in there and tear up that muscle and just attack the muscle. You don't worry about rep range, don't worry about full range of motion, don't worry about volume. Just go in there and hit that muscle. And once you break the muscle, that's it. You're done. That's the key. That's the only thing to remember. Once you break that muscle and you don't get anything out of balance where you're starting to dump load on one shoulder or the other, and make sure your form is correct where you're able to mechanically target the muscle that you're trying to target. So I see a lot of people when they do pulls, they really contract the biceps instead of contracting the lats or the other back muscles. So there's a lot of variations, a lot of things that people need to understand before you have the ability to go in and attack the muscle like that. So a good place to start for any beginner is to do the basic strength training routine. But I never recommend going to failure on any pressing compound movement. You can go with failure on pulls all you want, but on pressing, when you have this weight out here in the free space and you have to balance it, once you get off balance, then you've broken form. This is, when you have one side of the bar that's 3 inches above the other side or a half inch above the other side. A lot of people think it's not as bad as it is, but if you were to take a video of them, they'd be like, wow, I thought it was just maybe half an inch or an inch that I was off, but it was actually 3 inches, because your body adjusts to where, what's the path of least resistance. It depends on where you're stronger or where you're weaker at. So it's just like electricity. Your body will take the path of least resistance. That's why when people do pulls, they tend to curl instead of pull with the lats, because they have built up all these show me muscles right here, and they've neglected their lats, and so they don't have that strength to pull, to contract everything, to isolate that muscle, to focus on that muscle. And it takes a good mind-muscle connection to be able to do that. But once you have that lat strength combined with your arm strength, for example, then you're a powerful force to be reckoned with. So like the rear delt, for example, if you try to work the rear delts, but you're working the biceps instead, you're not going to hit the rear delts. But if you isolate, you drop the weight, isolate that rear delt, and then get it to where it's strong, and then when you need to lift some weight, when you need to move some weight, or when you need to do a power movement, an explosive power movement, you have all this strength to utilize. You have the arm strength and the rear delt strength. You have this combination, so it's best to isolate. Bodybuilding is about isolation. Now, general weightlifting, you want strength and size, so you want to go in there, hit your strength exercises. Don't go to failure. Just do a certain amount of reps, and just keep in mind, okay, I need to do this rep range, this range of motion. I have everything set up to where I can make progressive overload. But it's not to failure. It's not to failure. You don't go to failure on pressing movements particularly, or squatting or anything like that, because you are going to fail and you're going to dump load. You're going to dump load on one shoulder or the other, or you're going to hurt your hips, or you're going to hurt your back. So you have to remember, strength training is not to failure. But when you learn how to use these methods of high density, high intensity, these are methods, and then you learn techniques to apply those methods. And that's when you're able to go in there and as an artist, how can I attack this muscle? How can I focus on this muscle and just destroy it? And so that's when you're really weightlifting.